Good afternoon. As an educator myself, I am excited to introduce Ms. Elizabeth Tesoriero, who's the author of a children's book, When You Stand For Me, I'm Alive. Elizabeth holds a master's degree in literacy and bachelor's in elementary education with a concentration in history, and she has been teaching children for over a decade. Please welcome Ms. Elizabeth Tesoriero.
Well, hello, my fellow Americans. My name is Elizabeth Tesoriero, and I am the author of the children's book, When You Stand For Me, I'm Alive, a story told by the American flag, written to teach children the importance of standing for and respecting our great American flag. I am also a teacher by trade, a mother of two wonderful children, Natalia and Anthony, ages 9 and 7, a Christian, a devoted wife, and one hell of a patriot. I am extremely honored to have been asked to speak at this wonderful event today. 80 years ago, a young man graduated from his Catholic high school, and like many of his peers, enlisted in the armed forces. At the tender age of 17, he packed his bags and kissed his mother goodbye, not knowing if that would be the last time he would ever see her again. He boarded a flight en route to Norfolk, Virginia, where he would begin his training in the U.S. Coast Guard and Navy. He would soon be shipped overseas, where he would take part in various battles in World War II and do what he would tell you was his patriotic duty. That brave man's name was Jack Marcel, and he was my grandfather. As a child, I enjoyed his anecdotal tales of his time served abroad and the delicious meals he prepared for us that almost looked too good to eat, a task he will tell you he learned as a short order cook aboard ship. I was mesmerized by his ability to not only complete, but master any task that was set before him. He never gave up and believed in God and the power of prayer. He truly was the strongest man that I knew. He passed away 2 years ago at the young age of 96. While reflecting on his life, I truly attest his success, his braveness, and his braveness to his time served abroad, fighting for his country. Back then, it was common practice. It was just what young Americans did. They graduated from high school, enlisted, and if they were lucky, returned home in one piece, ready to begin their careers and their families. But not all were so lucky. Some lost their lives, others were maimed in battle. Regardless, these men and women were proud Americans. They loved their country. They respected it. But most of all, they appreciated their freedom, the freedom they risked their lives to defend for all of us. Jack, or Pop as I called him, was a true inspiration for my writing this book. I will always remember how he had a small American flag hanging from the visor of his car, or the beautiful flagpole erected on his impeccably groomed front lawn. His patriotism was evident. He was a proud American. Sadly, I will also remember the hurt and disappointment he felt when witnessing what I like to call the descent of America as we knew it. Suddenly, being patriotic lost its appeal. Loving the Lord became a faux pas, and standing for the national anthem, a controversial issue. What was happening to the country that we once knew? Since when was America not the greatest nation in the world? What was to become of our nation? Better yet, our freedom. When we were in elementary school, saying the Pledge of Allegiance was on our daily schedule. The helper of the day was given the lucky task of holding the flag while the rest of us pledged to it proudly. It was also the helper's job to select which patriotic song we would sing that day. And let me tell you, we were really excited for that job. My favorite was always the national anthem, and still is today. But we sang them all, we knew all the words to them all, and we loved them all. I remember the teachers' panic if any of us ever let the flag even slightly touch the floor. Because as we all know, the American flag never touches the floor. During the presidential elections, we were taught the amazing gift of being members of a democracy and being able to select the presidential candidate in our own little election at school. The teachers showed us in a non-biased ways who the candidates were, and we were able to make our own personal selection, of course with our parents probably in our ear. Today that is unheard of. We as teachers are advised to really not discuss the elections as they are way too controversial. Too controversial, but why? This is America. Why are we no longer able to mention our president's name in school? Why did we no longer have the president's picture hanging in our classroom, or at the very least in the lobby when you walked in the building? Suddenly it seemed the media was reporting a story a day about the American flag being offensive. Like in 2015, when 73-year-old retired Army veteran Tony Cumberworth was told by his neighborhood association that after 20 years of flying his flag proudly on his front lawn, he needed to take it down as it was offensive to the other neighbors. His response, "I fought for this country and it is not coming down." I will never forget the anger I felt as I watched the Today Show as Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem, because he felt disrespected by this country. Like a domino effect, so began the NFL, Hollywood, and various sports players' newfound pleasure disrespecting our country, our flag, and the brave men and women who serve for it. As an American, there is no better feeling than standing for the national anthem at a sporting event. The excitement you feel in your stomach as you await your team's possible victory. For that one moment, we as Americans all stand together, united, knowing that no matter which team we are rooting for, which candidate we voted for in the last election, or which car we will drive home in, we are all Americans, and being American is wonderful. How were we witnessing people not participating in this age-old American tradition? As I quote in the book, "I, the flag, may not be perfect, and I do have my flaws, but I will always serve you with truth and justice." Thus began my pursuit to make change. I picked up a pen and wrote a stream of consciousness on a piece of paper. At the time, I was subbing in various elementary schools in the Capital Region. I started asking the students if they knew why we were saying the Pledge of Allegiance. 9 times out of 10, their answer was no. With all the bad news in the media of people burning the flag and stories of it being offensive, I had to find a way to show children why this treatment of the flag was wrong. This was not just the symbol of our country. There was so much more behind it. I decided to personify the flag, having it tell the story. Perhaps the thought of the flag having feelings and emotion would stick with the children as they grew and make them always remember to treat it properly. It was a children's book, so I needed illustrations. The Lord granted me with many gifts, but drawing was not one of them. I was in search of talent, and this was not an easy task. The book was pushed aside, and I was ready to give up until a breakfast with a friend that would change my life forever. While sipping coffee, I mentioned to my friend Stephanie my frustrations with the current climate of this country. I was encouraged by her agreement and mentioned the silly dream I had of publishing a book that I'd written. She asked me if she could hear it, and as fate would have it, it was in the back seat of my car. I ran out to get it, and I read it to her, and she loved it. That evening, as I gave my children a bath, a text message came through on my phone from Stephanie. It was an illustration she'd drawn of what her vision of the flag looked like after hearing my words. I almost dropped the phone. It was exactly what I was picturing. That evening, I hired Stephanie Swick as my illustrator. I had no idea how difficult it would be to publish a book, especially a patriotic one. After several rejections and a lot of hard work, we were finally published. It was beautiful. Sadly, its release was May 1st, 2020, in the height of COVID. It was also the day after my grandfather passed away. I am so glad I was able to share the mock-up with him and loved to see how proud he was of me. I was fortunate to hold his hand as he took his last breaths, and I asked the Lord to somehow transfer the talent, bravery, and success he held in his long lifetime to me. I believe that God did just that, for there is not a speech, an interview, or an event that I don't feel his presence or hear him chiming in my ear to slow down and think before I speak. Having a book released during COVID was not ideal. It was impossible to hold any events without restriction. But as the Lord works in mysterious ways, we were introduced to congressional candidate Liz Joy at a sign pickup she was hosting in a liquor store parking lot. She was so inviting and excited to see the book. She immediately loved it. She believed in us, in the book, and in our message, and invited us to attend all of her events and sell books. Because of Liz, I have met many like-minded patriots. My dream to make change is happening. Each event bringing me closer to getting this book into every classroom in America. As we began to make small but steady profits, I wanted to pay it forward by selecting a cause to donate a portion of the proceeds to. Something that was special and honoring to our brave men and women who have served and are serving our wonderful country. I chose Wreaths Across America. For those of you who may not be familiar, Wreaths Across America is an extraordinary cause where on the second or third Saturday in December, volunteers lay wreaths on a fallen soldier's grave. It is committed to teaching younger generations about the value of their freedoms and the importance of honoring those who sacrificed so much to protect those freedoms. We couldn't have selected a more appropriate cause, as this directly aligned with the goal of our book. I was honored to take part this past December with both of my children in the ceremony at Saratoga National Cemetery. I hope you all get the opportunity to lay a wreath on a hero's grave. It really felt good. In closing, I want to tell you all that I adore being an American. I can't imagine how the narrative of this being the greatest nation in the world ever changed, but I am working tirelessly to be part of turning that narrative around. The best place to begin is with our children. God willing, we will together change the climate of the nation. As they say, what goes down must go up. As I have mentioned earlier, it is my goal to get this book into every classroom in the United States, but I need your help. I want to travel around to as many elementary schools as I can, hosting patriotic events and assemblies, speaking to children, much like I am speaking to all of you today. I cannot wait until schools are released from their tyrannical COVID restrictions they are currently in, so children can resume their normal educations unmasked, and schools can once again host author visits and guests. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, with my own personal twist, I have a dream that every child will love, respect, and always stand for our great American flag. Please, everyone, tell a friend about this book. Encourage them to purchase it and share it. Together, we can bring patriotism back to our youth. And remember, the first place to begin this is in the home. As President Donald Trump once said, courageous patriots have fought and died for our great American flag. We must honor and respect it. Make America great again. I leave you with my favorite quote from the book. When you stand for me, I'm alive. When you see me flying, you know you are free. When you pledge to me, I know you are thankful, and that is the greatest gift I can ever receive. Thank you, and God bless the USA. slideshow. I just wanted to give you some illustrations of my journey. It's very short, so thank you so much.
If tomorrow all things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
They'll think of it and say, wow, if I stand up, if I respect that, it's going to love me and it's going to take care of me, just like this country loves them and takes care of them.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. There's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. We have a few minutes for a couple of questions. If you wanted to ask a couple of questions about the project or how you can get involved, let me offer a quick suggestion. I would suggest that you stop at the table outside of this room, check out the books that are there, pick up a copy, purchase it, purchase one for your home, for your family, but also purchase one for a private school or a public school in your home area and donate that book to that school. All right, let me encourage you to do that. Are there any questions today before we move on? I see a question in the back.
How do you deal with homeschoolers?
I would get them as many copies of the book, right?
Yes. The book can be purchased on Amazon or any place really that you can purchase a book online. So we would love to, if you want to order one, that'd be great. I also have some out front.
Speaking of the homeschool community, there are various co-ops that meet across the state, various groups. Don, your question, if you want to connect to a local homeschool group in your community, let me know, I'll plug you in, and I'll let them know they got books coming from Don for their homeschool co-op, all right? That work? All right. Another question? Yes.
Actually, not a question. Thank you for what you're doing.
Of course, thank you for supporting me. I wanted to add, it's such a simple tool. It's really just something so simple that my colleagues, I feel, have really failed students by not presenting to them. It's something that we kind of let go, and I really was serious when I said when I was younger, it was on our schedule to say the pledge. Now they just kind of...
I just want to mention, Elizabeth, I applaud you. I'm a retired principal of a public school, and I'm just saying, your words ring very true and with great feeling. We saluted every day, and it was not true in every school. But I made sure when I was there that we did that, and we celebrated America's great history. So I do applaud you. I wish you a great deal of good luck, and I will purchase one of your books and give it to a friend of mine.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
So, my son is just about to have my first grandson. If I go buy one now, will you sign it for me?
Of course, yes, I'm here to sign books. Yes, of course.
All right, well, once again, question, George?
Well, one more. Have you reached any roadblocks in this journey that you call out of the ordinary because of the topic?
I think so, a little bit. You know, in publication especially, even shadow banning just on social media, I feel like I'm not getting the following that I should be getting, and it just seems that some people are telling me they're not seeing it, and you know, there's definitely algorithms with certain topics that I can't prove, but that's how it feels.
All right, well, thank you. WhenYouStandForMe.com.
Yes, yes,
All right.
yes. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. So let me encourage you to once again visit WhenYouStandForMe.com and check out those social media feeds as well. Get involved and get that book into various districts across the state and start to take back education across this state, across America.